Hi, happy Wednesday. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Inside Sports Talk with your host, Johanna-Rosalye. And I am joined today with my amazing co host, Ed Cole. Hello, Ed. How are you? We are back after having a week of hiatus. It's finally, just to share, feeling a little bit better. I had like no voice and been struggling over the last week. So today's a little bit better. So just bear with me.
Well, good afternoon. I'm glad you soldiered up for the show today. Thanks for coming. Thanks for playing less than 100%.
No, thank you. I missed it. I was last week. I was so sad and devastated. I was like, no, I have to have a show, but I could not pull it through. Literally, no voice. Today's a little bit better. So taking it day by day, moment by moment. So I have to, keep that voice in tip top shape.
Of course. Was your voice kind of strained because of that big 30-point victory by the Phoenix Suns last night? Did that have something to do with it?
Well, partly took a little bit of a, you know, effect into it from last night, but recovering. But all this Suns excitement and NBA playoffs have definitely caused some type of commotion and probably took a number on my vocal cords.
I'm sure it did.
But I am ready to talk some sports, go ahead and talking some NBA playoffs, talk a little bit about the NFL and what's going on there with Tom Brady. Tap into a little bit of the WNBA as well with the now that the season has kicked off with the Mercury starting their season. And then we will have a guest on here shortly, Shawn Sierra, a good friend and also a little bit has a little bit of the in sports. So we'll talk a little bit of Chicago sports with him from Sports Zones Chicago. And we'll also, if depending on time permitting, how we go about, with everything else, we'll go ahead and touch some NHL talk in there. And then we'll definitely be talking some MLB with the no hitters situation. There were multiple no hitters that were on the look for last night. So we'll go ahead and give you all of that rundown and probably like a little bit of what's happening in the MLB, who to look out for, who's hot, who's not, and what to expect. So are you ready to dive in, Ed?
Of course.
Awesome. Would not have it any other way, Ed. You know it.
Exactly.
All right. So to kick off the show, we'll go ahead and lean into not the WNBA, sorry, the NBA. We have the playoffs going on, and today we have the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Celtics playing, and then we have the Golden State Warriors going off against the Grizzlies. So we did have just news has or reports are surfacing out there with regards to the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry and then Steve Kerr. They're in the health and safety protocols and not with the team tonight, as they will be facing up the Grizzlies due to COVID. So I did hear that they are doing okay, no symptoms or anything like that. But it's a series. It's for at least for the Golden State Warriors. They're leading the series 3-1. So how pivotal is it for the Grizzlies to have Curry out, and then out on top of that to have their coach out? Maybe this can be a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel for Grizzlies and maybe be able to make a comeback.
When you're down 3-1, Joanna, you take whatever little bit of whatever slimmer of light that you can get and just roll with it. Considering Ja Morant's not going to play tonight, he's out indefinitely because of the bone bruise in his knee, Joanna. So their top star, he's averaging almost 40 points in the playoffs this season. So it's hard to replace that kind of production. So that's one little thing. That's one big negative that's facing them tonight. But the fact that, as you mentioned, Steve Kerr's not there, Steph Curry's not there, and the Warriors are playing with heavy hearts. Of course, Kerr's out, and they're dealing. Draymond Green is dealing with the loss of his former teammate, his Michigan State teammate that got killed, Adrian Payne. So he's dealing with a lot of pain in his heart. So everybody's dealing with so much stuff right now. But if it is for Memphis to win tonight, yes, you definitely want to win without Steph Curry and without Steve Kerr coaching tonight. And it's at home. You definitely do not want to lose at home. And if you win, you go back to San Francisco, and then let's see what happens in Game 6. Should they win tonight?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we know, especially in the playoffs, how important those home games are and being able to go ahead and take advantage of being in a home court. But will it really be easier or that much easier for the Grizzlies to come out with the win tonight? Yes, they will be out with a few of their star people. The Golden State Warriors will be, but will they still have enough superpower to where they can still overtake the Grizzlies and pin them down and maybe even just claim the series tonight? Because we know the Golden State Warriors. We know who they are. We know how they play, even without Steph Curry. So,
Mm-hmm.
what are your thoughts on that, Ed?
I don't see Klay Thompson shooting 6 for 20 like he did on Monday night, going 0 for 7 from 3-point range. I expect him to have a better game tonight. Of course, they've got Andrew Wiggins down there in the post. Draymond is there. He's always going to be there, a defensive threat and also a motivating factor for the Warriors because he is that kind of guy. Got Jonathan Kuminga, Jordan Poole coming off the bench. So, yes, they're going to miss Steph Curry tonight, but that doesn't mean they're lacking talent when it comes to the Warriors. Yes, they won't have Steve Kerr, but Mike Brown is just as suitable, a coach who was recently named the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. So coaching wise and player wise, the Warriors are going to be just fine. For them, they just need to go out and take care of business. We know it's going to be a hostile environment in Memphis, Tennessee, Joe, at the FedEx Forum, but for them, they need to just go out and take care of business. And for Memphis' side, they need to go out and take care of business as well. Play with desperation because they lose tonight. There is no tomorrow if they lose tonight.
Yes, definitely. We know, it's a do or die, at least for the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. If you said it, if they don't win tonight, they will not see they won't see tomorrow. They won't see the following game. Or at least, trying to go ahead and go for, to extend that series out. But we also have the Milwaukee Bucks tonight and the Celtics, and that series is tied, one of the many series tied as we go throughout these playoffs. So Giannis, is Giannis. So what can we expect from him in the Bucks, or will the Celtics be able to go ahead and capitalize against them? How do you see the series going with the way that both of these teams have been playing?
The way they've been playing, Joe, I can see a 7-game series. Them losing Chris Middleton is a major loss for Milwaukee. We saw how important he was last year for them running to the World Championship. We saw how big he was in the NBA Finals last year against the Phoenix Suns. So for them to miss Chris Middleton, to lose his points and his production and whatever he brings to the court, that's a big loss for Milwaukee. So it's going to be more on Giannis like he did the other night. He labored the other night in that loss to Boston, Joe. Took 2 shots to get 34 points, so he was working. So it comes like to taxes, who he calls the others. Who else is going to step up for Milwaukee tonight in Boston to help Giannis, to help alleviate some of the big pressure that's on his shoulders, Joanna, because it's all on Giannis without anybody else that can step up, a la like what happened in Phoenix last night with Luka. If there's nobody other than his point guard to do any production, then it's all on him, and he can't do it all. If Jalen Brunson is the only guy that's scoring for Dallas other than Luka, then who else is going to step up? If nobody else steps up, you're going to have nights like you did last night. And you could have a night like that tonight for Milwaukee if nobody else steps up to help Giannis.
Yeah, and then you said it, Ed, and this is something I had said on the broadcast the other day for the Suns game. You mentioned it with Luka, him carrying the team, carrying the entire game. Yes, you can do that, but you can only do that to a certain extent. And that's the same thing with Giannis. And that's where I see the trouble here for the Milwaukee Bucks, because everything's being placed on him, and it's kind of like a carryover and having that expectation from last season leading into the finals. And there's going to wear and tear. There's so much expectations, and you can only do so much. And we saw that how the Celtics were able to go ahead and come out with that win, 116-108 over the Bucks. So it's going to be I think that's going to be a very pivotal Game 5 for whoever wins. And we already know that percentage of that team who does win Game 5, it's 80%. Who goes ahead and does go on and win the series to go into the following round. So this is gonna be a make or break moment for whoever wins.
And Joe, when you look on paper, you see that the Celtics have the better team. If Middleton was on Milwaukee, it'd be a little bit more of an even situation if you look at those sheets of paper. But up and down the lineup, you got Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown and Marcus Smart, the defensive player of the year. And Al Horford had a big night the other night. I don't know if he's going to drop 30 again tonight like he did the other night on Giannis, but on paper, the Celtics have the better team. So you would think that they would hold court at home tonight, Joanna. Go back to Milwaukee with a 3-2 series lead for game 6, but that's why they play the basketball games. We can throw out all these theories and who's going to win tonight and what are the three or five keys to victory? Who's going to step up? Who's going to step up and help out Giannis? Is Jason Tatum going to have a big night tonight? We don't know. That's why they play the basketball games, and we love them and we enjoy them.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I like about NBA playoffs, or just playoffs in general, whether it's NBA, NFL, whichever way you look at it, because it's not the regular season. During the regular season, you know what kind of to expect from any given player or any given team. In the playoffs, no way. There's a surprise. There's something that always happens. Something stuns you. There's an upset. There's always some type of wildness that's happening. So you can't have expectations. So that's one of the things to going into the NBA playoffs and into the finals, to have no expectations and to do the impossible. So, and that's what we're seeing from these teams. And with the Dallas Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns, which their game was last night, and Phoenix go ahead and having a 30-point difference on that game, 110-80. So to go ahead and take the series 3-2. So we saw Dallas; they were kind of making a little bit of a comeback. Or at least they were trying to attempt to make that comeback and take lead over the series, because the series was tied to 2-2 after the Phoenix Suns won 2 home games, went to Dallas. Dallas won their 2 home games. Phoenix comes and wins it for game 5. But before we go ahead and go further into that conversation, I'm going to go ahead and bring in our great friend and our other sports guru. He's from Chicago, Shawn Sierra from Sports Zone Chicago. How are you, Shawn? Thank you for coming on, and it's such a great pleasure to have you. We had a little bit of a speed bump along the way over the last week, but we finally made it through.
Well, glad you're okay, and I'll tell you what, it's great to be here, talking with you guys, talking sports. I love talking sports, so anytime I get a chance to talk sports, I'm happy.
Yes, I think we all are. That's our calling. That's for our passion and what we love to do.
Yeah, it is. I've been talking sports since I was a kid, since I've been playing t-ball at what, 6 years old. So it's a lifelong passion of mine, and I love it. We're not solving the world's problems. We're not curing cancer. We're just talking sports, and I love it.
Yeah. So I have a question for you before we go ahead and go into our rest of our NBA playoff talk. Should I call you Shawn, or should I call you the super back?
Whatever you feel more comfortable with, Johanna. I am known as a super back around here, in these parts, and either way is cool. Shawn's fine. Super back's fine. Trust me, I've been called a hell of a lot worse. I was a teacher for 15 years. So trust me, I've been called a lot worse.
Yeah, I get it. So talking about possibly getting, getting the good or the bad end of it. Oh, we have the Phoenix Suns. We were just, as we were introducing you, we were talking about that. How we see, we know the percentage, it's 80% of whoever wins game 5 going and winning in the series and going on to the next round. But with how way we've seen Dallas, like, I will say that I'm a little bit worried for the Phoenix Suns. I don't know that they will go ahead and have such an easy win as we've seen with the team going to Dallas, losing those 2 games against Dallas, and I think we will see a game 7. I don't want to see a game 7. I don't, we know how those games are, but for the Phoenix Suns, that scares me to death, Shawn.
They say the playoffs never get interesting until someone loses on their home court. And right now they're both holding serve. Pardon me. And, if Dallas loses, well, it got interesting because their season's over. And if they win, then, you know what, then there'll be a game 7. And if Phoenix loses, well, man, it just got interesting because they would have lost the series. So right now it's really getting interesting. All the pressure right now is on, I believe, is on Dallas. Win or go home, win or stay home. I guess I should say win or stay home. Phoenix has a lot of pressure. They want to close it out. They don't want to have to come back because game sevens are crazy. Game sevens, there's you can throw out the other 6 games. If it took them 6 games to get to this point, man, anything and everything is on the table and could possibly happen. So there's a lot of pressures on Phoenix, but I think more pressure is on Dallas because Dallas has to win, and I think that they've held served so far. I think they'll do it again, and we are going to go to a game 7.
Yeah,
Sean, the
and I think.
question. Go ahead, Joe. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say that, and with that, I think that's what kind of helped the Phoenix Suns come out with that win last night because they were losing at the beginning, and the Dallas went ahead and started to dominate, and taking over. But I think that's the pressure that the Phoenix Suns maybe they needed, and have a little bit of that scare to go ahead and be like, you know what, we're not letting Dallas go ahead and take the lead in this series when we've had it all along and throughout the playoffs, and we're not going home because we, like you said, the next one who wins that game, and if you're the one who has the lead in the series, you're going home. And that's the Phoenix Suns. So I don't. Go ahead, Ed. What are your thoughts on this?
I was just going to say, Sean, when it comes to the Phoenix Suns, my question is, does the game they have last night, will that travel to Dallas for tomorrow night? Will they be able to do what they did in the third quarter last night when they outscored them by 19 and they forced 12 turnovers? And other than Luka and Jalen Brunson, nobody else other than Davis Bertans were in double figures. Will they be able to have a repeat performance on the road tomorrow night and close this thing out?
They can. It'll be difficult because you're not going to have the home crowd, right? Oftentimes good teams feed off the crowd, off their home crowd. You're at home. You got your fans. It's actually a sixth man that really helps you out and you know the rims, the arena a little better when you're at home as well. So can they do it? Sure, they could, but will they? That'll be a pretty tall task for them to outscore because if they do outscore them by 18, 20 points in the third quarter, that'll be really, really tough for Dallas to come back at that particular point because then, at that point, I think Phoenix is going to walk the ball up a little bit, try and milk the clock, an extra 3 to 5 seconds each possession. You do that a couple times. We're talking 2-3 minutes, that of time taken off. So Phoenix is a smart team. They're run by CP3, and he's a vet. He's looking for his first NBA title. Thought he had a good chance last year. Then unfortunately for him, he ran into the Greek Freak, and so him and the rest of the Phoenix Suns are trying to get back, and I think he's going to do whatever it takes. And plus he may have a little bit of a revenge, a little motivating factor, the whole situation with his parents and family the other day behind the bench. So I think CP3 would like nothing better than end it, in Dallas, but we'll see.
Yeah, and before we go ahead and go on and talk a little bit of Sixers and Heat, but with the Phoenix Suns, they have been having a hard time struggling and getting to that 30-point mark quarter through quarter. So that's when this series with Dallas. This is the reason why I did not want the Phoenix Suns facing off Dallas because this was going to be a very scary series, and that Dallas was going to go ahead and try and take over because we know the history with Dallas and Phoenix Suns when they go into the playoffs and how they play, and things are just getting very intense and very physical as each game goes on. So we'll see if that, and also if that intensity, if that aggressiveness continues to game 6 as well. But Shawn, I want to go ahead and ask you, Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat. Miami's leading that series, the other number one team in the NBA, 3-2. How do you see this, and what has been your thoughts throughout this series? You're over on that side of the nation, so give us what you hear out there. What are the rumblings? How are the fans feeling this out?
People are trying to figure out if James Harden is back or if he just dialed it up for one more time. James Harden looked really good the last couple of games. The step back three was looking. He's obviously a little slower. In my opinion, he seems heavier. Right, he's a lot slower. He's not as nimble as he was back in the OKC or his Houston days, but he's still a star. And the thing is, can he help Joel Embiid? Can he help him out? Can he hit those step back threes? Can they pick and pop? Can they pick and roll? Can he facilitate and be a buster, a zone buster? With his three. So I think it revolves. It falls squarely on the shoulders of James Harden because if he doesn't perform, I know Joel Embiid was in the MVP conversation, although he didn't win it. He can carry a team by himself, but not in the playoffs. In the playoffs, you need a couple players, and he's going to need help from Harden. And if he can step up and live up to his the last couple of games, guess what? I think they have a good shot of winning Game 6 and making it go back to the MIA.
I agree with you, Shawn. It's kind of similar to what Dallas is going through. So this will be 4 games in a week for Joel Embiid, a man who just recently before the series had not played in about 6 days since he injured himself in that Toronto game, in that closeout game. So expecting him to play 4 games in 7 days coming off the eye injury, and he's still feeling the effects. We saw it last night, Shawn. He was clearly not 100%, and I know he got beat up a little bit. He took some shots here and there. He got banged around quite a bit last night, and you can see just his energy level. He was clearly not 100 last night, and he did what he could. But when you're shooting 9 for 32 from three-point range, and you turn the ball over 16 times against that defense, against one of the best defenses in the NBA, Miami, and they capitalize about 23 points off your turnovers, you're going to have nights like that when you get blown out by 35.
Well, welcome to big boy basketball. Okay, this is the NBA playoffs, and you know what? Referees tend to put their whistle in their pockets a lot more than they do in the regular season. It's very rarely will you get more calls or cheap calls because you're dealing with a lot of superstars. So if you get a lot of calls, then you are the superstar of superstars. Like back here in the '90s, Michael would get all the calls, and I get it. But now you're dealing with equally yoked stars, and there's not going to be a more decided advantage on calls. So they're going to be physical. All right. NBA playoffs are a lot more physical, stereotypically, obviously a lot more physical in the '90s, but even now, they let them play more. And that's right up Miami's alley. Playing physical basketball, get in your face, hand checking, boxing out, maybe a little extra here and there, but that's right up Miami's alley. So Philly's got to get physical. They can't get out of their game too much, okay? Because if you try to be physical and massive physicality, that's not your game. All right, that is definitely not your game. So you have to be physical. Let them know that you're not going to back down. You're not a punk, but that can't be your new identity because that's not who you are. So Joel Embiid's got to be physical as far as rebounding. He's got to be. I would say he's got to be down in the block a little more and take it to these guys. There's, you were in the MVP conversation for a reason. So I think to take it to him, the best way to deal with a bully is punch him in the mouth, and that's what Miami is. I don't think they haven't had that situation arise yet. But if Philly can do that, then we're going to see exactly how Miami is going to react.
And before we move on, and we'll keep talking basketball, but we'll be talking WNBA. But there's the news that, or at least the comment from the Nets, the general manager, that making. I don't know if you heard about this or what you have on this, Shawn, with regards to Kyrie Irving and how the general manager says that he wants, people or players that are committed. They're not thinking of themselves, and exactly his words. And, that they're going to go ahead and go out there and wanting to go ahead and put the team first. And of course, granted, you want to go ahead and win a championship. And the Nets came short of that again this season. So where do we see Kyrie Irving's future, not only with the Nets, but with the NBA? So we know, the whole situation where his standing is on this, and now with the comments that the GM has made, it looks kind of grim, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think, or I don't know if there's going to be another COVID shutdown and more sanctions involved. All right, because that was a big issue. All right, that literally was the issue. He refused to get vaccinated. He had every right to do that. But he also, with every decision you make, there come consequences, and the consequences were that his teammate he wasn't allowed to play in home games. The chemistry that him, Harden, and Durant would have liked was not able to form. So he's a part-time player at that particular point, and if you get a 3 or 4 game homestand, that's you're taking one of the best players in the NBA out. Okay, so now they have to they build a chemistry without you, but then next week you're on the road for 2 games, so now they have to form a chemistry with you. So it really threw that whole team off. So with him saying that, I get it. Okay, but as long as I don't think, and I hopefully definitely pray if there are no more situations, you're not anticipating another situation with COVID where everyone has to be vaccinated again and quarantined and all this other stuff. Because if that's off the table, for the most part, then really won't be any issues with Kyrie. Kyrie, the only issue we'll have is with Ramadan when it comes up, because I believe he's Muslim. Okay, and that's but you know, other than that, he should be fine. So the GMs, and I don't know how sensitive Kyrie is, because if he feels that it's a personal attack, he may be a little sensitive, and some younger players today might get in their feelings and maybe not want to play with them anymore. I don't know. Joel Embiid. I mean, not Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons is another issue. You know what I mean? Like, that dude hasn't played as well. They're expecting him to play. There's a lot of moving parts here. Not just Kyrie, although Kyrie is one of the big parts of the moving parts.
Yeah.
And Shawn, I'm sorry, Joe. I was going to say that there's so many what ifs when it comes to any organization, but especially the Brooklyn Nets. You mentioned Ben Simmons, and is he going to be there? Is he not going to be there? Kyrie Irving, where is he going to be at? Where is he at mentally? As you mentioned, is he going to be all in like Sean Marks is hopefully wanting him to be? And if he is, then he'll probably maybe get him that $85 million deal or whatever the max deal he's looking for. But I know Kyrie wants to play with KD, and KD wants him. But which Kyrie Irving are we going to get? Are we going to get the guy that's all in, or the guy that's a part-timer?
Again, it's really the biggest issue was the COVID situation. He did not want to get vaccinated. And, if you understand the history of the medical field and African-American men in this country, you can understand why he did not want to get vaccinated. I understand it. I get it. It's his choice. Some people agree. Some people don't agree. Some people look at it. They forget that even though they're professional athletes, they are still human beings. Even though they're professional athletes, they still have beliefs and morals and things of that nature. They think for themselves. So, they're normal people just like us. They just happen to be a lot richer than us. Okay. And, some people didn't get vaccinated. It was their choice, and as I said, you have your reasons. You can't get down on somebody for not getting vaccinated. Although I could be upset because, KD's expecting him, Harden, and Kyrie to be together, be the super team, and they're kind of a part-time super team. And then now Harden's gone, and now you got Ben Simmons. So is he going to be is he going to be healthy again? Is his mental issues going to be okay to the point where he can play? So there's tons of moving parts, with Kyrie and with Ben Simmons. But I know you asked me about Kyrie. So Kyrie is, if it was just a COVID thing, I think he'll be fine and he'll be ready to roll.
Yeah. And then we'll go ahead and go on and talking some more basketball, women's basketball. That is, the WNBA season has kicked off. And I want to go ahead and ask you about the Chicago Sky. It hurts a little bit to say that. I'm not gonna lie. We know why the Phoenix Mercury and the Chicago Sky went at it during the WNBA finals, and Mercury falling short. Congratulations to the Chicago Sky. You and I have had touched on this previously, how that all went down. But new season's here. The Chicago Sky have won. None of their last 3 games actually. So if I see that correctly, so what is the new season? How is the Chicago Sky taking it? Are they still on a high from winning the finals? They do have Candace Parker. And can you tell me of any changes with the team as well as they go on and trying to defend their championship?
Well, the Sky, they play tonight. They're 0-1. They haven't won yet. But now you're the hunted, right? You're the hunted. That's the issue, right? You're the hunters before. You're trying to get to the top. You're trying to get to the world championship. You're trying to get to the mountaintop, and the only thing harder than getting to the mountaintop is staying there. And you're going to have everybody gives you their best shot. They give the champs their best shot. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, and so they're dealing with part of it. It could be, maybe a little bit of a hangover, a championship hangover, because it was the Chicago Sky's first WNBA championship. Candace Parker did bring it home. She's from suburban Naperville here. She's literally she's an icon. Not I know across the country and other places, but definitely here in Chicago. A lot of young women look up to her because of all she's accomplished on the basketball court. And it's then I just wonder how many people you have the Courtney Vandersloot is back, and Annie Quigley as well. Um, I think it just might take a little bit of time. It's they just got back. They're not. You have to remember a lot of these players play overseas in the off season because the
Mhm.
contracts really aren't that big. They can make 2 to 3, 4 to 5 times as much money overseas than they can here. So, coming home quickly because usually they don't start the season with the Sky, but due to the situation in Russia invading the Ukraine, most of the players came home. So I wonder how much that has to do with their play because when they come here from Europe, they're ready to roll. All right, they've been playing competitively for a
Mhm.
while, and they just transfer from there to here, maybe a couple rule changes here and there, but now they're not. So, and then also you have you know uh, Brittany Griner. How many of the girls know Brittany Griner and they know she's still a political prisoner over in Russia? Um, I wonder if that has anything to do with it. But there's a lot of different factors with the Sky. Again, right now they're only 0-1. They lost a couple preseason games, but
That's
they'll
right.
be fine. They'll be fine. It is only one loss, and I think Candace being a professional and the star that she is, I think she may take it out, put it on her shoulders, and say, "Hey, we're not going to lose this one again," because she understands the importance. Because she won a title with the Sparks, she understands the importance of starting out the gate, getting out of the gate fast, and I think she's just going to, she may just carry the load at least for tonight.
Sean, Sean, when it comes to Candace, there's been so much speculation. This is her 15th year. Yeah, and there's so much talk about whether this will be her last year. I know she's up for a contract. This is her contract season. Do you see her going beyond year 15, going to 16, maybe coming back with the Sky? What do you think her future holds? And is it just kind of up in the air on how she feels, how the season goes, and how it goes after the season, how successful the Sky do if they do defend their championship and they repeat? Do you think she might want to come back?
If they do repeat, she's gone. After 15 years, there's nothing else to prove. You won it with the Sparks. You brought it back home, not, and you run it back twice, for a world championship here, in your hometown. She's gone. There's a whole bunch of in my opinion, there's a whole bunch of broadcasting opportunities for her. She's already on tons of podcasts. She's already on network. She's on Inside the NBA sometimes with Chuck and Shaq and those
And she's
guys.
great too.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. So, you know what? You know, people forget like being an athlete for so long, your body takes a toll. It takes a toll on your body. Your body takes a beating, and she's a younger. She still looks like she's 20 in her 20s. You know what I mean? And but you know what? Why have the physical ailments, the quality of life afterwards. You don't have to continue, to play that. She doesn't have to prove how great she is. She's already done that. She's already won world championships. There's nothing else for her to prove. I think this could be her last year, whether win or lose, but especially if the Sky win, if I was a betting man and I'm not, but if I was, I'd put my money on her not coming back.
Yeah. And the last question with regards to the Chicago Sky, well, you mentioned that be playing the New York Liberty. So that's going to be, it seems like a really anticipated match, at least for me, when it comes to, two teams such as they are. And then they have who was the Phoenix Mercury coach, Sandy Brondello. So, and then with the team and what they have in those pieces, how do you see or anticipate this game going for the Chicago Sky?
Um, I see it going well. Like I said, Candace Parker, Coach GM, Coach Wade is, he's great. He's great. And one of the things, like I love what he said after they lost. He's like, you know what? He goes, I got to do a better job of getting them prepared. He says, I got to do a better job. And he put no blame on the players. He's like, I need to do a better job of coaching. I think he's going to have a much better game on the bench. And I think this is a game for them to step up. You can't, because you don't play 82 games, like the NBA is not, you don't have that luxury. All right. So you can't start off on an 0-2, turns 0-4, turns 0-6. All of a sudden, now you're in the bottom of the division, the conference, the division of in your conference. So again, I think it's going to be a situation where you can say, okay, the honeymoon's over. Okay, we got spanked opening night, our first game back, first game of the season. Now we need to start playing like champions. It's a mindset, and Coach Wade should be able to, along with Candace Parker. She knows how it is to start a season as a defending champion. She's going to have her expertise, her experience is going to be huge. So I think the Sky are going to be okay today. I think they're going to come out with a lot more intensity, a lot more focus, and I think they get the W tonight.
Yeah, they are a great team, and they do have a tremendous coach. He's definitely a gem of a coach. You know, being able to go ahead and covering, having the opportunity to cover them that last season. But I want to go ahead and stay in Chicago with Chicago, and I want to talk Chicago White Sox. So we have. Let's see. There we go. I see that. So I want to go ahead and they are 15-14, Shawn. So how do we see the White Sox going for this season? I know it's, we still have a ways away, but we're nearing, in another month we'll be about halfway through the season.
So,
What can you tell me about the Sox?
so the Sox, they won their first two series. Okay, and then they went on a 9-game losing streak, and we were just befuddled. We're like, what the hell is going on? All right. Then we had some injuries. Eloy pulled his hamstring. Okay, we've had a lot of soft tissue injuries with the Chicago White Sox team the last couple of years. But I digress. So Eloy's out, one of our hitters. We have Luis Robert. We call him Lou Bob. Lou Bob was out, the center fielder. Who he's going to be an MVP candidate this year and probably the next 5 to 7 years. He was out. Yohan Moncada, third baseman, who was at one time was the number one prospect in the minors. Excuse me. He was out with a strained oblique. He's back now. So we were in, and then our pitching was just it was suspect for that 9-game losing streak. We couldn't believe it, and now the Sox, had they not imploded on Monday, they had a 6-game winning streak going into Monday's game and against the Guardians. I always keep saying that other name, the Indians.
Yeah, same.
But the Sox were up 8-2 going into the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, 2 strikes, and Liam Hendricks gave up a gopher ball to their first baseman. I can't remember his name. I don't even want to say it. But he gave up a grand slam, tied it in the 8th, comes back in the 11th, and the same guy hits a 3-run homer, and we lose. So we're up 8-2 going into the we're in the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, 2 strikes, and we didn't get it done. So had we been able to get it done, we would have won that 7. We won yesterday. That would have been 8. Today's game got postponed due to COVID. Too many COVID cases on the Guardians team. So, and I'll tell you what, here's the thing. White Sox are playing good baseball. They won 7 out of their last 8. Okay. They have the Yankees coming to town. The Evil Empire's coming to town tomorrow for a 4-game set. But our starting pitching is doing phenomenal. When I mean phenomenal. Michael Kopech leads the American League in ERA with a .93. He just had his longest outing the other day. I believe he went 7 because they were pulling him after 4. And he was really pissed about it. But they gave him a longer leash, so he went 7 the other day. Phenomenal 7 innings of no hit ball. Lucas Giolito yesterday went 7 of 1-run ball. I should say one no run scoreless baseball for Kopech. We're still waiting for Lance Lynn to come back. And he's going to be doing well. Our other guy, and here's a guy that I suggest you watch and keep an eye out for, and that's Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease is a monster. All right, he is probably the best. He has the best best stuff on the staff, and this guy is really stepping into his own. This guy, he would always have. When we got it from the Cubs. There was always one inning where he gave up 2, 3, 4. He gave up a crooked number usually. And after that, he's lights out. And I remember a couple of times in the last few seasons where he gave up 3 runs, 4 runs, and then the next 4 innings, he's perfect. All right. We just had to get that 1 inning out of him. Dylan Cease is on fire. Watch out for this guy. He'll be pitching against the Evil Empire in this series. So you're going to have some of our top pitchers pitching, against the Yankees, and you're going to need it. So the White Sox they're back. I'm really looking forward to this series against the Yankees. It's going to be a good litmus test for the guys. So the White Sox, don't worry about the record right now. Like I said, we just had a 9-game losing streak. We just went on a 6-game losing streak. We won 7 out of the last 8. We're back. Tim Anderson is leading the American League with 347 average, if I'm not mistaken, 340 something. So he's back. He's at the top of the lineup. He's our catalyst. When he goes, the White Sox go. I'm excited about the way that this team's going to go. And then once we do get one of our horses back on the mount, starting pitching, Lance Lynn, it's going to be even better. So watch out for the White Sox. I think they realize that the Cleveland Guardians aren't going anywhere, the Twins aren't going anywhere, the Tigers aren't going anywhere. I think they're ready to really. I think they got a reality check, getting swept by the Tigers and getting swept by the Indians earlier this year.
Yeah, I am excited to see the White Sox season as it goes on. We still have plenty of baseball left, and I do agree with you. They have a really solid team put together. Just unfortunate with those injuries, but once they're able to go ahead and just all come together and get past that bump they're in right now, that bump in the road, they're gonna go ahead and be another. They are a contending team. We saw what they had last season, and I think this season can only get better.
Yeah, it's good. And the issue is, they hadn't been in the playoffs. All right, this is a young team. Part of me thought that, or I feel and still feel, a lot of them are reading their press clippings. We have Lou Bob, the center field. He won a Gold Glove. Okay, Tim Anderson won a batting title. Jose Abreu won a Silver Slugger. Eloy, I want to say, won a Silver Slugger as well. There's a lot of individual accolades with this team, and most of the all of the young talent that they have has been locked up, so they got their money. Probably a underpaid. It's one of those contracts where you're overpaid in the beginning, and if you live up to your potential, you'll be vastly underpaid. But they're team-friendly contracts. They got their money. Yo-Yo's driving around in a Lamborghini now, back to and from the games. And I thought that they might have been reading their press clippings. I thought they might have felt a little comfortable. I didn't see a sense of urgency in the beginning of the season, especially during that 9-game losing streak. I'm starting to see it turn a little bit. I'm starting to see them being real focused. I'm starting to see a sense of urgency amongst this team because, as fast as the window opens, it can close. And injuries take a toll on everybody, as they should well know, with Lou Bob and Eloy being out last year. Eloy was out 100 games. Lou Bob was out 99 games, and Eloy was out, a good amount, 50, 60 games as well. So they need to take advantage of this. And I think that they're starting to get focused and realizing that, they're the hunted now. They won their American League Central. They're favored to win the American League Central. They're favored to come out of the American League and win the pennant. So they're favored to go to the World Series. A lot of pressure on them, but I think that what they started doing is they started going back to the fundamentals, started getting guys on, getting them over, getting them in. That's extremely important. You don't need a home run every single time. We've seen guys on this team bunt. I get so excited when I see people bunt because that is baseball. It's not small ball. It's baseball. Okay, it's smart baseball, and because you have guys who can hit you don't need to hit the ball over the fence all the time. A well-placed bunt does the trick. A well-placed bunt to the third baseman when there's a runner on second gets the guy to third. Beautiful. They're playing smart baseball. They're stealing bases. They are getting back to that sense of urgency that I didn't see earlier. I'm seeing it now, and I'm really happy about it.
Yes, that smart ball, those getting back to those fundamentals. We know how much that does for a team and for an athlete. And then, of course, not getting comfortable. We've seen it, and we're seeing it in the playoffs here in the NBA too. How once you start getting comfortable, that's the dagger. That's the worst thing that you can ever do. And when it comes to being an athlete or in sports, is getting comfortable. But Shawn, thank you for staying on. I know we went over some of the plan, the time we had planned, but I appreciate you jumping on and joining us. Always enjoy talking sports with you.
Oh, not a problem. I love coming on, and I'm only a phone call or text away. So, I'm here, and I love supporting you. Latinos doing stuff in sports. I love it. Latina running this whole thing is beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Keep doing what you're doing. And we got to support our own, and I love what you're doing. And like I said, I'm only a phone call or a text away.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it and the kind words. And then we can have you on and talk some sports in Spanish soon.
Oh, my Spanish. Yeah, I'd have to be drunk because my Spanish isn't very good. It's so much better when I'm drunk because I try not to. I don't think about properly conjugating the verbs. All right, it just flows. But I don't know if you want to hear some of the other stuff that comes out of my mouth when I'm drunk.
Just let me know what's your poison, and maybe we can work something out.
No problem. No problem.
All right. Again, thank you, Shawn.
Thank you, Shawn.
We'll do this again soon.
No problem, guys. And if you know what, you guys can follow me. You see my handle right there. The Shawn Sierra. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Snapchat, and I may have to do a TikTok. I know I'm not 12, but I'm not going to be dancing or singing. But it's all for Sports Zone Chicago, and you can follow Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook and Instagram at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter we are at Sports Zone Shy, CHI at Sports Zone Shy. So give us a follow. We appreciate it. Come check us out. We have 7 live shows on there, and it's we have something for everybody, which is really, really great.
No, that is very true. Like, your stuff is great. Everyone who's listening or watching, make sure to go ahead and check Shawn and Sports Zone Chicago out. They have great stuff and something for everyone. So once again, thank you, and we'll do it again soon.
Sounds good.
All right, have a good day.
Thank you, Shawn.
Now. Bye.
All right, Ed, that's some great stuff from Shawn, and I want to go ahead and keep talking baseball. We're not over with the baseball talk. We have a no-hitter situation, or situations, I should say, that happened yesterday. One was Justin Verlander with the Houston Astros. He flirted with a no-no. Unfortunately, it was broken, and he did not get his no-hitter. And I was so much rooting for him. But you know what? We know when they flirt, when they have that flirtation, sooner or later it will happen. But that wasn't the only no-hitter of the night. We had a rookie pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels who went ahead and flirted with that no-hitter and was able to go ahead and pitch the entire 9 innings, 108 pitches, to go ahead and have his first no-hitter in his career, and only 11 or 12 starts for him, and then also making him the youngest pitcher in franchise history for the Angels to go ahead and accomplish this feat, and making it the 12th no-hitter for the Los Angeles Angels. So what a tremendous way to go ahead and go out on top, Ed.
Oh yeah, for Reed Detmers to come in and throw, as you mentioned, the 12th no-hitter in their history. As I'm watching the final out, that was so cool as they shut out Tampa last night, 12-0. What a great feeling for that young man to go out there and do what he loved, his passion, which is play baseball, and play it at the most high level that a pitcher could do it. Throwing a no-hitter, Joanna, that had to have been great for him.
Yes, I did get the alert on my phone. Mind you, I was covering another sporting event. Those who know can put the 2 and 2 together, but I saw that, and I could just not. I saw Justin Verlander, and I'm not one to really go ahead and jump in on those if I'm not watching the game from the beginning. I typically wait until like the 7th or 8th inning to see what happens, and then I'm like, okay, let's go in and see if they can go ahead and close this out and make history. And I saw that with Justin Verlander, and then I saw that his no-no was broken. I can't remember if it was the 7th or the 8th inning. It was towards the end. 8th inning. Thank you, Ed. And then as soon as I saw that, I was like, because I was ready to go ahead and dive into the feed. And then shortly after that, Detmers, I get this other alert, second no happening of the night, or looking to go ahead and accomplish that. And it was nice. Actually, I got to see the last two innings that he pitched. He did some solid work, and that last pitch, that one always makes you hold your breath.
Yes. Yeah. And I love when they shoot the angles of the pitcher to get his reaction. It's so cool to watch him, to watch him see how the play develops. And then once it happens and he knows he's got the no-hitter, his relief and his joy, he's like, oh, I did it. It was so cool. But back to Verlander. Yeah, it's unfortunate he didn't get the no-hitter, Joanna. But the most important part is the Astros got the win. I know he'd love to have the no-hitter and the win, but if he could have his druthers, if it was one or the other, of course Justin would love to have the win over the no-hitter.
Of course, but I don't know, with just flirting with that feat so closely and like at your fingertips, I would be sad. But one of the things too, when you're asking these pitchers, once it concludes, or sometimes they don't, a lot of the times they don't realize that they're pitching a perfect game, that they're pitching a no-hitter. That was the case with Detmers after the game. He said that he had no idea what was going on. He just was on his own. He was just doing his thing. not realizing that it was really a no hitter until maybe close to the end of the game, and then and then he realizes like, oh, like this actually happened. I actually did this. Like 'cause they a lot of the times they don't know, and what the players do, they'll just go ahead and leave the pitchers when they see they're in a zone, and they're close to doing something, making history, whether it's a no hitter or a perfect game. For a lot of the times, they're just left alone. And I remember like with Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson, and I can just keep naming names, but when they're just in that zone, they're just literally left alone. Zach Greinke, same when he's in that moment. So a lot of times they don't even know, they don't even look at the numbers. They just go in, do the job, do their thing, what they have to do, and next thing you know, they're making history.
I think it's really fun, the rituals that baseball players go through. As you mentioned, when the players see their guy is throwing, he's throwing heat, he's throwing a gem, he's that close to creating history, they just leave him alone. They just let him sit where he sits. They don't come up, they don't mess with him, they don't say anything to him, and he just goes out and does his job. And then, as you mentioned, in the post game, he's like, you know what? Probably tomorrow I won't even remember this interview. This is how much is going through this kid's mind. Like,
yeah,
I really throw a no hitter. I've only had 10 starts before this game, 6.03 ERA, I believe, and I go out and throw a no hitter. Believe me, I'm not going to remember I'm going to remember bits and pieces of this thing, but for me to create history, the 12th no hitter in this franchise's history, that's amazing. Good for him.
Yeah, congratulations to Detmers on making history, not only in baseball for himself and for the franchise for the Los Angeles Angels. But before we go ahead and move on, we're coming close to the end of the show here and wrapping things up. But I want to go ahead and mention, Shawn mentioned them as the evil team or something like that, the New York Yankees,
the evil empire,
the evil empire, something like that.
You know what they're referred to as.
Kind of.
Being a Red Sox fan, you know that, Joanna. Stop. Stop
it. Anywho, it kind of hurts me to say this, but the New York Yankees, they're the number one team in the MLB.
Mm-hmm. They're good.
Okay, 21-8. So I'm
good
gonna
again.
be keeping a close eye on these guys and see how they do once they go ahead and go and play against the White Sox. But yeah, they're doing pretty good. And we had a lot of things going, kind of like I wouldn't say controversy, but just a lot of, are they going to be good? They've been trying to contend. They haven't made it to the playoffs and player situations and so forth. And then to go ahead and wake up and see like, oh, they're actually the best team in the freaking league. I'm like, whoopie doo.
Yeah.
But
you're like, oh, the Yankees are back. Oh, wonderful. And just looking at their numbers, Joanna, 14-4 at home. They're holding court at home. They've only given up 83 runs in 30 games. So their pitching is strong. And their hitting is strong. That's why they are 14 games over 500. They've won 3 in a row because everything is really rolling for them. They're playing well on the road. They've won 8 of their 12 games on the road. It's a solid baseball team, and it's a really great start for them.
It is. So we all know what pitching does for you. It can definitely take you a long way. And as long as your pitching is solid, you have a good chance of having a pretty good season. So
Joe, so I'm looking at the American League East. There's a team in last place that's familiar. You should know this team.
I'm bypassing that. I'm sticking with the good news right now. Going on to the West, the National League West, and the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Okay. Okay.
And the Arizona Diamondbacks, we have them going on a 3-game winning streak. We have them playing right this moment. I do not have the score, but they can possibly go. They're aiming for a 4-game winning streak.
So, Joe, right now it's the end of the 4th inning. They're losing to the Miami Marlins 3-1 over at Chase Field.
Okay, thank you for that update, Ed. And the Diamondbacks right now are 17-14. So they still have hopes. We've had their bats have come out swinging recently in the last games and hitting, just finally connecting the bat to the ball and the bat and doing what needs to be done. But I don't know if that's going to be enough. They did start a little bit on a rough patch. They did start the season, but I still don't count them out. There's still enough baseball and could have some potential if they continue to go ahead and play the way that they have these last few games. However, sticking with the National League West, we do have the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are a number one on the West, 20-8, making them the second best team in the league, as much as it pains me to say that, honestly. But they are at a .1 714, so they're way above 500, and they're just telling on the New York Yankees to, maybe possibly tie or take over being the best in the league. And
even with that record, they're still not running away with the Western Division. Look at what the Padres are doing. They're 20-11. They're a game behind the Dodgers. And then you got the San Francisco Giants, 2.5 games behind. So even with that great start for the Dodgers, they still haven't run away with this division yet. Of course, it's only 30 games into the season. We're, a fifth through the season, if that? So there's a lot of baseball left to be played. But, of course, it's the Dodgers. What do you expect? It's what they do.
Dodgers. Yeah, I still want to see a Dodgers and Yankees World Series. So
me too. Yes.
I don't know. Maybe
possibly this year.
Could be. Yeah, that's where I was. That's what I was going with. That I was going to say
this could be it.
That's probably a season. This could probably be a season where it would happen. So, and then we also have the All-Star game that it will be hosted at with the Dodgers are hosting the All-Star game this summer. So very excited for that.
Yep, and that would be great if the Insight Sports Network were there covering the All-Star game. I know you're efforting to make that happen.
Further updates will be given as we approach that Midsummer Classic.
Joe, my question is, in the National League, the Mets they're killing it right now. They're 7 games up on Atlanta in the National League East. With that pitching staff and what they're doing right now, can they sustain that, Johanna? Is this a team that's for real this year? Can they make it to the World Series?
They have been a contender, or leading up to being a contender, and they've gradually built up their team and putting those pieces together, which of course hasn't been easy. And we know, of course, the Mets, those struggles and what they've had, or not going from the coaching to their pitching to and injuries and how that's affected them. But with what we're seeing out of the Mets and how far they've come along, they do have, actually, this season could be their season and have a really strong shot, big chance of making it towards, if not to the World Series, very darn close.
Yeah, at least to the National League Championship Series. We'll see NLCS maybe, but Milwaukee's playing really well in the Central Division. They're 20-12. The Cardinals are right behind them, but all 3 of those teams that are leading those divisions are viable championship contenders.
They really are. So it's right. It's still early on because like we said, there's still a lot of baseball to be played, and a lot of it many times it can change. It can change once you hit the All-Star break. And sometimes, those teams that were ahead and were number one and leading the league or leading their division, then takes a flop and all hell breaks loose. Pardon the language, but it really does. Mm-hmm. So we will see once we go ahead, and that's always been my marker. Once we go ahead and hit, that All-Star break and going into that Midsummer Classic, and what happens those 2 weeks to a month, how things can go ahead and change, because then from there is full force going forward, and then it's just you're battling to stay alive.
Yes, it's a long 6-month season, Johanna, and a lot of things happen. There's injuries and inconsistencies with players that are playing well now may not play well after the All-Star break, as you mentioned, as the season goes on. And players that are not playing well now, they could totally flip the situation. They could flip the script, Johanna, and become MVPs. That's the beauty of baseball. You have no idea what's going to happen from now until October.
And that's why I love baseball. And that, that's where we have, a rookie, go ahead and hit it, having a no-hitter. Or we have, someone, just who has not even been on your radar make, something tremendous happen during the season, or in the second half of the season just explodes. Or, that's where, October baseball, and we had Mr. October, where that came from. So that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of the sport. That's the beauty of baseball, and why I love it. Because nothing is as it seems. It's like a chess game.
Yep.
But before we go ahead and wrap up, Ed, I do want to go ahead and touch on Tom Brady, the news of what he will be doing after, with his career or following his football career and what he will be diving into, Ed. You want to go ahead and tell our awesome listeners what the future holds for Tom Brady?
Yeah, folks, if you have not heard, the news broke that Tom Brady, when he decides to retire, whenever that is, could be 4 or 5, 6 more years after this, depending on his health situation. He is going to join Fox Sports and Kevin Burkhardt. He's going to be the lead analyst for the NFL on Fox, which is great. And from all reports, he's making almost $400 million over 10 years, Joanna, the biggest contract for any broadcaster ever. And he hasn't been an analyst for a single game, but he's going to make almost $400 million. And from all, I read an article that said that Tom, over his career, has made a little over $300 million in 20 plus years of football. But now he's going to make more than that doing some analyzing of football games. It's great. How great is this? How great is this country?
I'm happy. I'm excited. A little bit jealous. I'm not going to lie. A little bit jealous of Tom Brady, but he deserves it, and it'll keep him in the sport that he loves. You know, he just could not stay away and said, you know what? No, never mind. I'm not retiring. But I think I don't know that he will ever retire, or maybe it'll be like 2050. You know, like we've seen those videos and those memes, and you know, poking fun at Tom Brady, because he just keeps on playing, and the longer he plays, the better he gets.
Yes,
so.
he very well could play into his 50s, Joanna. The guy is, I mean, he just continues to defy logic on what a human being should be able to do in their 40s at a high level, playing football at the most stressful and highly scrutinized position, and he still plays it, and he's won 7 championships. There's no reason why he couldn't win maybe 3 more and get 10.
Why not? Go for it.
Why
do
not?
it.
Yes.
But Tom Brady, if you're hearing this or watching this, if you need an assistant or someone to help or fill in, I'm your girl.
Yep. Her. No, this way.
The other way. Yeah.
That way.
I'm your girl. I'll be more than happy to join you guys.
But what a great get for Fox, though, Joanna. Right? You lose Joe Buck and Troy Aikman to ESPN. Oh, and you fall back and you get Tom Brady as your lead analyst.
I was wondering, once I heard the news, I was like, who is going to step in and fill those vacancies? And then Tom Brady. I'm like, oh wow, okay. Well, you really can't really go wrong with that at all. So no, I'm excited to see that when it does come time for Tom Brady to go ahead and fill in the seat.
That is a major coup for Fox. Congratulations to them. That is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. But I know we can keep talking sports, but that does wrap up our show for today. Just a little bit over our usual hour show here. But before we go ahead and let our awesome people go and enjoy the rest of their day, Ed, where can everyone find you?
On the screen, you see it. Twitter at Ed Cole 43. Let me move my finger over there. IG at Edward Cole 301.
Yes, for those listening, because they if they're listening, they can't see the screen.
Oh, you're right. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Twitter at Ed Cole 43 and IG at Edward Cole 301. I just assume everybody's watching.
Yeah, no, not everyone is watching, unfortunately. But if they do have that capability, or if you're listening and would like to watch our stream, just go ahead and follow us on Facebook. Look for Insight Sports Network. Go ahead and like us, and then you'll go ahead and get our notifications, or go to our page. You can go ahead and sign up and subscribe for the alerts, and then also for our podcast, which you can find through all major podcast platforms, Insight Sports Talk. And on Twitter, you can go ahead and find Insight Sports Network at Insight Sports _. And also look us up on YouTube. We have our Insight Sports Network channel. We have Insight Sports Talk, and we also have our Spanish podcast and show, Punto Deportivo, for our Spanish speakers and listeners. So, and you can also find me, Johanna-Rosalye, on both Instagram and Twitter as J-Rosalye. That's JROSALYE. And then you can also listen in through the rest of the playoff run for the Phoenix Suns, and hoping that they do make it to the finals and can bring that championship title home. But you can listen on La Mejor KSUN 106.5 FM and 1400 AM, where I go ahead and join in on the commentary. You can find me there for Thursday night's game. 6 against Dallas, and that is in Spanish for those who are not aware. But other than that, just go ahead and make sure you follow me on social media as well, and on Facebook. But that concludes our show, Ed, unless I missed anything else.
You got it.
But thank you for listening in to Inside Sports Talk. Until next time.